Welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be replacing all of our 2-inch sprinklers with 4-inch sprinklers. The reason why we're going to be replacing all of our 2-inch sprinklers is that they just don't have enough height when the sprinkler is on to clear the grass, and therefore we're having a lot of watering problems. With a 4-inch sprinkler, there's a 4-inch head inside that casing that's going to pop up and give us plenty of height so that we can reach our entire lawn. And I'll show you what I mean. As you can see, these sprinklers are not tall enough to breach this grass. And so what ends up happening is I get this big dead ring around each one of my sprinklers and a little bright green spot, probably about 2 or 3 feet around each sprinkler. This is a really big problem. That means I'm not watering effectively, and not only that, but I'm wasting a lot of water watering small parts of my lawn and not watering the other parts of my lawn at all. Part of the problem we're facing is that our sprinkler piping is buried at a very specific depth. And so we have our risers in on these T-pipes. And then we have our 2-inch pipe on top of the riser. Now, in many circumstances, this would be okay, especially if I had enough distance down to my pipe that I could then put my 4-inch sprinkler on. The problem is that all of our risers are cut down to the minimum height, and therefore if we were to try to put a 4-inch sprinkler on top of that riser, we'd be sticking out of our grass a good 2 inches, and that would lead to a lot of problems. I mean, you could do it technically, but you're going to end up with a lot of broken sprinklers, a lot of wasted time, and a lot of wasted money. So instead, we've got to find a way to compensate for this problem. The way that we compensate for that problem is by building swing lines. I'll show you how to build a swing line. Now you can buy a pre-built swing line pipe. It costs about $2 a piece, and if you're only doing 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever, it might save you enough time to make it worthwhile to just go buy the pre-made one. I know there's lots of different companies that will sell them to you. Rainbird makes one, Barbed makes one. They're not very complicated to make, and just about everybody has their own little version of it. Well, we're going to be doing our entire yard, therefore it becomes worth our while to replace every single one of these, and therefore it also becomes worth it to our wallet to build them ourselves. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to take these barbed end elbows. They start with a barbed end on one side, make a 90-degree turn, and then they have a pipe thread outlet on the other side. So we're going to squeeze one of these into both ends of our piping. Now they have the little barb on the end, and after you get through the barb, they have a threaded portion. So once the barb's on, you can kind of twist them in. You're still going to have to put quite a bit of pressure to get them where they need to go, but it is doable. Now, not all installers will do this, but once I get them on, anytime I have a threaded connection, I like to put a little bit of tape on it. Now my tape is blue because it's made by Blue Monster. Blue Monster makes a line of tape that just works really, really well. This stuff, once it's installed, it's all loose right now, but once you take it and you install another pipe on top of it, I'll show you why this stuff is so cool versus ordinary Teflon tape. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but that tape has basically melted over those threads. It works like a charm. It doesn't come off once you've taken the pipe apart, and it creates just a really good, long-lasting seal. I highly recommend it to anybody. It only costs $1 or $2 more than normal tape, and man, it is a lifesaver. Okay, so we got this tape on, and then we're going to start putting our second elbow joint on. Now this elbow joint is a 90-degree pipe thread joint, has a female on one side, a male on the other side. So once we get it on there, put a little more tape on. Now, as always with pipe tape, the general rule of thumb is less is more. You don't need to wrap this 5 or 6 times, like maybe once, 1.5 times around, just so it has the ability to grip onto its own self, is enough. Any more than that, you're overdoing it, and you actually might compromise how good of a seal you can make. So this end will connect to the sprinkler, and this end will connect to our tee that's buried in the ground. A little bit of tape for that side. A little tape for this side. Screw this one on here. And then we can screw it to our tee. Now obviously this demonstration isn't true to life because we don't have this buried in the ground. We'll go outside and we'll show you what that looks like here in the next clip. But for the meantime, this makes a really good example that you can see very clearly. So we've got our pipe running right here. And now we've got our swing line hooked to our tee pipe. And we can, the beauty of this is that I can adjust this any way I want to. If I need to go further out this way, I can adjust that way. If I want it to come in further that way, I can adjust that way. I can go up and down, and even better yet, I can take my sprinkler and I can adjust the degree which it is sitting at. So if I've got a sprinkler and it's leaning to one side, I can take that, I can adjust it, make a nice 90-degree angle, and boom, there you have it. It's easy to adjust the height. You can go any which way you want to with this kind of connection, and it just makes doing installs a lot easier than it used to be when you had to use solid pipe all the way through. This is a great example of what we were talking about earlier in this video. We got a 2-inch riser connected directly to a hard line. Now, here's the problem, is this sprinkler is not giving us enough clearance to go over the top of our grass, and yet it still remains flush with the soil. And so what we're going to do is we're going to remove that one, and we're going to be installing this guy right here with our handy dandy swing line that we put together earlier. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to twist this guy off. And as you can see, it left the riser behind. I'm going to have to take that off as well. And I got my handy dandy channel locks to help assist with that. God bless the man who invented channel lock pliers. Alright, here we go. Now we're just going to twist this guy in. It's best not to leave an opened up line for any period of time because dirt or gravel or sticks or whatnot can get lodged down your pipe, and then next time you turn your sprinkler system on you have a clogged filter or a jammed head, and that is not hard to fix, but it's still no fun. Alright, now you're about to see the beauty of swing line. Now I've got this in place, I can put this through a full range of motion to get it where I want it to go. However, I think I actually want a slightly smaller tube here. Just one moment. As you can see, I'm adjusting the length of my tubing so that I can fit this sprinkler just a little bit closer to where it was originally installed. Now, the disadvantage in having to repair a sprinkler system in this fashion is that I'm never going to be able to put my sprinklers exactly on top of where they are. But however, if I miss a little bit of coverage right there, that's not going to be so important as being able to get the coverage I need further out in the direction that the sprinkler is spraying. I'd sacrifice this little corner of my lawn for the center of my lawn any day. And the fact that it's this close to the sprinkler head anyway means it's going to get a lot of misting, and it should get the water it needs regardless of where the head is, just due to how close proximity is to the head itself. Now, although my tubing is not threaded, my barb on the end of this fitting is. And so once I get it past the initial barb, I can put a little pressure on it and spin it into position, and it should work out just fine. Okay, so now we're a little shorter, just like I want to be. Get it in nice and close here. Okay, so like I say, I'm a little bit away from where I originally was. Not that big a deal. One of the things I really like about Orbit sprinkler heads is there's a nice bridge around this cap here, this head. Makes it really easy to adjust. I don't need a special tool or some kind of a key. I just kind of spin it into place and it's good to go. Now with this, the other great thing about these swing lines is that I can adjust the height up and down wherever I want to. And with the additional fitting that we put on the edge here, I can also adjust the degree, the angle that the head is spraying at. So I can always have a nice flat lying sprinkler head, and if I need to adjust it later on, it'll be a very simple thing to come back and make that adjustment. Alright, so we're all in place. I'm just going to backfill this with dirt, put the sod back on, and then we'll be done.